Chapter 10 continued. I pushed pause and I didn't know what to do. So I just accidentally stopped this thing. Anyway, I was right here. We got a couple more pages to go. Oh, look at Malala as a kid. And there's Kushal in Migora. The trips from school had become tense and frightening, and I just wanted to relax once. I was safe inside my home. One day I arrived ahead of my brothers, thrilled I didn't have to fight with Kushal for the remote for once, and settled in to watch my new favorite show, Sarat, which means making mischief. It was just a Bollywood comedy, but I loved it. I turned on the TV and all I got was static. I switched stations, more static. I tried every station, nothing but static. At first I thought it was another annoying power outage. We'd been having them every day, but the night we found out that Fazula's men had switched off all the cable channels. They said that TV was haram and it showed that westernized world where women have love affairs and do not cover their hair. With nothing left to watch but the official government television channel, we were all but cut off from the outside world. Fazula, meanwhile, kept broadcasting his sermons. Girls should stay at home, he preached. We did our best to ignore him until the day I came home to find my father with his head in his hands. Oh, Johnny, he said, the world has gone mad. Fazula's and his men have blown up the girls' school in Mata. My heart dropped. The school Fazula had destroyed was a primary school, not even a school that taught teenagers. He had bombed the school at night and when it was empty, but how cruel this man was, hurling firebombs at a place where little children wanted only to learn to read and write and add. Why, I wondered, why was the school building such a threat to the Taliban? I whispered a quick prayer for the children who'd lost their school and another to protect the Kashul school. Please, God, I prayed, help us to protect our valley and to stop this violence. Every day, Fazula's men struck a new target. Stores, roads, bridges, and schools. Most of the attacks were outside Mingora. But soon they got closer and closer. One day I was in the kitchen cleaning dishes, despite my best efforts to avoid them. And a bomb went off so close that the whole house rattled and the fan over the window fell. Before I could even react, the power went out. I learned that this was how it happened. Bomb, then darkness. The Taliban bombed us and then the power went out for an hour at least. A few days later, the Taliban struck again. A funeral for one of the victims of their last attack was being held in a nearby building. As the mourners gathered to pay their respects, a suicide bomber blasted himself. More than 55 people were killed, including members of Moniba's family. Ooh, that's too bad. I had grown up hearing the word terrorism, but I had never really understood what it meant until now. Terrorism is different from war. Where soldiers face one another in battle, terrorism is fear all around you. It is going to sleep at night and not knowing what horrors the next day will bring. It is huddling with your family in the centermost rooms in your home because you decided it's the safest place to be. It is walking down your street and not knowing whom you can trust. Terrorism is the fear that when your father walks out the door in the morning, he won't come back at night. Now the enemy was everywhere and the attacks came out of nowhere. One day a store was destroyed, the next day a house. Rumors flew. The store owner had crossed Fazula and had helped the army. The man whose house was targeted was a political activist. A bridge was blown up one day, a school the next. No place was safe. No one was safe. Our family tried to carry on as normal, but we were tense all the time. Bombings became such a regular part of our daily lives that we fell into a routine every time we heard a blast. We called to one another to make sure everyone was safe. Kashta, Pisho, can't pronounce that one. Habi, Kushal, Atal, we cried. Then we listened for the sirens. Then we prayed. This kind of random terror made us do strange things. My father started taking a different route home each day, even in case someone was studying his routine. My mother avoided the market, and my brothers stayed inside on even the sunniest, excuse me, on the sunniest of days. And since I had been in the kitchen both times there were blasts in our house, I stayed as far away from that room as possible. But how can a person live when she is afraid of a room in her own house? How can a mother buy food for her family if the market is a war zone? How can children gather for a game of cricket if a bomb could go off under their feet? Nighttime was the worst. When darkness fell, we all startled at every creak and jumped at every shadow. Nighttime was when Fazula's men carried out most of their attacks, especially the destruction of schools. So every morning before I rounded the corner on my way to the Kashul school, I closed my eyes and said a prayer, afraid to open them in case the school had been reduced to rubble overnight. This was what terrorism felt like. In 2008 alone, the Taliban bombed 200 schools. Suicide bombings and targeted killings were regular occurrences. Music shops closed, daughters and sisters were prevented from going to school. And during the month of Ramadan, we had no power or gas in Mogor because Fazula's men had blasted the electricity grid and the gas line. One night, when a blast hit especially close to our home, I went to my father's side. "Are you scared now?" I asked. "At night, our fear is strong, Johnny," he said. "But in the morning, in the light, we find our courage again." Next, part 3, Finding My Voice.